Hello and welcome to TV1 News. I'm Maricela Kelaton. In this edition, legislative reforms working, upsurge in positive cases, and protected areas bill finalized. Justice Minister Brian Kramer has applauded the Marape-led government in its legislative reforms, which has resulted in the improvement of the country's ranking in the International Corruption Index. PNG is now ranked 124 out of 180 countries in the world, 100 being the very clean and 0 highly corrupt.
PNG is now ranked 124 out of 180 countries in the world, 100 being the very clean and 0 corrupt. In 2020, the country was sitting at 142 out of 180 corrupt countries in the world. Justice Minister Brian Kramer, while welcoming the news by Transparency International, said the reforms under the Marape-Basil government are working. Minister Kramer said the jump in PNG score from 27 to 31 demonstrates the reforms implemented by the current government.
PNG hit its lowest scores between 2011 to 2015 when the O'Neill government took our country backwards and run roughshod over our ethics and human rights. The Marape government moved decisively to correct these errors, and the results are now being seen by our citizens and the international community.
The minister attributed to the adaptation of the Organic Law on Independent Anti-Corruption Commission and the Constitutional Amendment Law as a major achievement under these reforms, adding that the Interim Independent Commission Against Corruption now has investigative and prosecution powers.
We are pleased to see the Marape government's efforts to restore integrity in our public sector are having a positive impact on our country and our citizens, and that this has been recognized by the international community.
Jumaima Sugbat, TV1 News.
2 European Union consultants are in the country to carry out a report in relation to strengthening and tackling the issue of money laundering. The aim is to improve the country's index over the next couple of years. After the assessment, the team is expected to provide a report and a roadmap with recommendations on what needs to be done.
The status of the anti-money laundering and terrorism financing system in the country that comprises of laws, is a legal and institutional framework, and especially about the effectiveness of that system that will be the topic of the evaluation from the Financial Action Task Force for this year. So after our assessment, we will provide a report, assessment report, and a roadmap with recommendations of what needs to be done in the anti-money laundering.
Justice Minister Brian Kramer has instructed the state solicitor to review the country's existing laws on methamphetamine and the district court decision dismissing drug charges against Sanctuary Hotel's manager Jamie Peng. The Boroko District Court this week dismissed the drug charges against Jamie Peng on the basis that methamphetamine was not described as a dangerous drug under the Dangerous Drug Act.
Justice Minister Brian Kramer said he has received a brief on the recent judgment on the case of Sanctuary Hotel's manager Jamie Peng, and that he was taken into custody at the Immigration Detention Center for breaching the country's immigration laws. He has instructed the state solicitor to review the country's existing laws on methamphetamine and the recent decision by the district court dismissing drug charges against Jamie Peng.
So my department has received the brief that I requested. What is currently been informed is he has been taken into custody for breaching our immigration law, being found guilty of firearm offences. I've also tasked the state solicitor and the department to review our laws and also that decision, and we should get a response back today or tomorrow. and then if they have the opinion that for the state to consider reviewing the decision of the district court. And once that advice is provided, then the DJAG department will make an announcement in relation that we will challenge the decision, and therefore we may not seek to have him deported until the proceedings are determined.
Minister Kramer said he has been advised that there are existing laws in relation to methamphetamine under the recently passed Controlled Substance Bill 2021.
We're also looking at the certifying the Controlled Substance Bill, which we passed it, and following up with Parliament and the clerk actually today to confirm it's been certified so we don't end up in the same predicament.
Jumaima Sugbat, TV1 News.
This is TV1 News. Stay tuned for more after the break. Welcome back. The Port Mosby General Hospital has cautioned an increase in positive COVID-19 cases this month. Predictions were made last year regarding a fourth surge to occur in March. However, traces were made of the fourth wave arising in Port Mosby.
PMGH has been tracking COVID positive rates from last year through to this month, noting that there has been an increase since the third wave in September 2021. In the past week alone, 250 tests were performed on patients, with results of about 150 positive cases from the testing activity. PMGH Director of Medical Services, Dr. Kone Sobida, clarified that most cases were the patients having underlying conditions and were advised to isolate.
On January 21st, we noticed a sharp rise in the testing rates from 5-10% to 28%. As of yesterday or the last 24 hours, our testing positive rates are about 80%.
Acting Chair for COVID Committee and Emergency Physician Mangu Kendino said despite the relief of having mostly moderate cases, they are not able to predict the outcome of this surge.
What we're seeing so far in the last 8 days from this current surge is that we've got all mild cases. We've not had a single admission of someone who came in with severe COVID.
Dr. Sobida said at this point in time, the hospital has 23 inpatients, with most being on single source of oxygen and none on ventilators.
About 65 to 70% of those who are positive are unvaccinated. So yes, we still have, we do have patients or people who have been vaccinated, double vaccinated, or even single vaccinated, who have tested positive.
Port Mosby General Hospital has responsive plans in place to survey these transmission rates and have it closely monitored to ensure that the other medical services are not downscaled to cater for COVID alone. With the recent coronavirus variant declared, he urged the public to take these COVID-19 precautions seriously, as the variant has a more rapid transmission rate. Dr. Sobida said the hospital is relying on the PNG government and other close partnerships to support these response plans through the surge. Mari Veret, TV1 News.
The government, through the Conservation and Environment Protection Authority, has finalized the Protected Areas Bill 2022 to establish and manage a national system of protected areas in the country. The bill will reclassify protected areas to help preserve PNG's unique plants and thousands of animal species. Minister for Environment, Conservation and Climate Change, Wera Mori, announced. Through extensive support from the United Nations Development Programme, the Protected Areas Bill 2022 will reclassify protected areas into national protected areas. This includes national parks, marine sanctuaries, national heritage areas and special management areas, and regional protected areas to help preserve some of PNG's nearly 18,900 unique plants and thousands of bird species, mammals, reptiles, amphibians, fish and coral. Minister for Environment, Conservation and Climate Change, Weramori, highlighted the urgency for the bill, stating that Papua New Guinea is endowed with over 7% of the world's biodiversity, contained within 1% of the world's rainforest.
Under this protection area, which I'm sure that Parliament will support and which will be passed, this will basically now help us to put in a place where we can have a national system of protected areas right around the country.
The bill balances the need for central conservation standards through a network of decentralized governance that is part of the country's constitutional setup in the Organic Law on Provincial and Local Level Government. It seeks to balance conservation standards with needs of customary landowners, provincial governments, local level governments, and private freeholders and leaseholders, among others. Once the Protected Areas Bill 2022 is approved by Parliament, its associated regulations will be finalized and trainings will be provided to protected area teams nationwide to ensure the bill is fully implemented and achieve its intended objective. The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission concluded a week-long workshop and induction training for business development officers today. The 12 participants will now be able to perform the role of and act as agents for the ICCC in their respective provinces. The Independent Consumer and Competition Commission concluded a week-long workshop and induction training for business development officers from East Sepik, Simbu and the autonomous Bougainville government, who will perform the role of and act as agents for the ICCC in their respective provinces. A total of 12 participants participated in the training aimed at equipping them with the necessary skills and knowledge to perform their delegated duties and responsibilities on behalf of the ICCC. ICCC Commissioner and Chief Executive Officer Paulus Ein said the ICCC recognizes that resource constraints have the potential to restrict efforts of the ICCC and respective provincial governments in maintaining an effective system of surveillance on prices and service standards and ensuring compliance with various laws administered by the ICCC. Ein commended the participants and encouraged them to perform well in their roles.
Thank you very much for coming. Thank you for all the provincial governments. Thank you for all the governors. It is all about working together, serving our country. And I repeat myself in the beginning sentence that I said when you came in, we need to stand together. We need to forget where we sit. That is only when we will make a difference in this country.
The business development officers are empowered to investigate consumer complaints or register reports at their respective offices on certain traders or businesses behaving in an unfair conduct. Raphael Key, Principal Advisor under the Trade and Commerce Division of the Chimbu Provincial Government, expressed his gratitude to ICCC and the wealth of knowledge shared during the short week of training.
In coming here, I actually, and with my 2 videos, maybe like some good blood school, and now we are ready, I assure you, Commissioner. We will surely not waste the resource, the time that ICCC is used to facilitate this training. We are your eyes, we are your ears. We will represent you well in Chimbu.
The business development officers are empowered to officially issue verbal warning or written notices or instigate legal proceedings against business houses on behalf of the ICCC. And that ends the news segment. Sports is next. Stay with us. Welcome back. the PNG Under-19 Garamoots progress into the ICC Under-19 Cricket World Cup 2022 plate playoff semi-final match 2 today. The Garamoots are now playing for 13th spot against the other 4 bottom-ranked nations in the tournament. They will come up against African newcomers Uganda. A fellow associate member, Uganda has a tough draw throughout the competition and also remain winless despite running Ireland and the UAE close. They are well-drilled and well-disciplined side who also play with a certain style that excites fans. PNG have been on the improve and are showing signs of understanding what it takes to perform at the highest level. By our standard, this is a winnable game for PNG and surely the side will be confident heading into the encounter. Mosby South's Widex and Joyce Bay Stingrays have lost in the Pepsi Nines Challenge, where local MP Justin Chachenko was proud of the players' performance in the grand final at the Sir Hubert Murray Stadium.
Even though that Mosby South teams, Widex and Stingrays, lost their respective matches, Chachenko was impressed with both teams' efforts as runners-up. Chachenko had reasons to smile as Mosby South teams Widex, Joyce Bay Stingrays and Kone Tornadoes dominated the Pepsi Cup Nines tournament on Saturday. Widex lost in the Pepsi Cup finals to TI Vikings 36-25, while in the bowl Stingrays went down to Kone Tornadoes 8-4. It was a close first half with Widex trailing 18-19, but let the game slipped off in the second half to the opposition scoring 18 points to 7, going down by 11 margin. The Southside team had talents like former Hela Wigman's Junior Hockey and Gulf Iso's Obet Muri, and rest of the unit put to difficult tasks by the experienced opposition. While Vikings were well served by former SP PNG hunter Mukakalu, Tommy Moide, Junior Bello and Makarahura, experience was the major factor in the impressive win. The Action local MP stood on the sidelines supporting his electorate team from Taurama, Joyce Bay and Kone. Southside, instead of sitting in the VIP stand with Motu Koita Chairman Daddy Toka Jr. and Mosby Northwest MP Lohia Boy Samuel. Chachenko said this will be a return confrontation at Mosby South Stadium during JT9s on February 2nd to 13th. He congratulated Widex for coming out as runners-up and praised all the players and coaching staff for their efforts, who was impressed with the quality and standard of the players from his electorate who had gradually improved a lot after 9 years of the Southside competition. Godwin Eki, TV1 Sports.
43 teams have expressed their interest to compete in the 6th JT9s Cup from March 2nd to 13th at the Mosby South Stadium.
Tournament Director Bagelo Solian said only 7 teams, Harbour City Tornadoes, Widex 1, Tuna Bay, K Kogea, SSPB, Taurama Sedu, 3Y Brothers, Mekeyo Ave have paid up their registration fees and are all confirmed to participate in the tournament. Solian said that as of yesterday, only 8 spots available on first-come, first-served basis to confirm participation. It is said that with more teams expected, spaces will run out soon by the end of this week or next. Tournament Director Bagelo Solian said picking up registration forms does not confirm teams' participation. He said 43 teams that have collected registration forms have yet to settle their fees to confirm to compete in the tournament. Out of the 32 teams, the 15 Mosby South Rugby League teams automatically occupy the slots. Solian said defending A-grade champions 54 Bears have yet to register for the 32-team event, with deadline of registration set for February 18th. He said while 43 teams have shown interest to participate in the JT9s Cup Challenge, champions 54 Bears have expressed their interest but have yet to register. Teams that have picked up their registration forms are yet to deposit their fees. Godwin Eki, TV1 Sports.
The tournament organizers of JT9s Cup advised all team managements for players and officials to be in full uniforms during their respective matches at the Mosby South Stadium.
Tournament Director Bagelo Solian is calling on all the participating teams to be properly attired to promote better management, organization and have pride. He said the 18 players and coaching staff should be all in their colors on the field during their respective matches. Solian said mixed jumpers, sportswears, jeans and 6 pockets worn by players and officials will not be allowed. Trainers and water runners running on the field of play are also required same colors with shoes on. He said if the sport of rugby league is to be brought to the next level, players and officials have to change their mindsets now and do it right. Solian said the smarter the players and officials look in full uniforms will attract the media to call over for interviews on player profile or comments on the teams. Solian added that individual players and officials plus their spectators should all have pride and be proud that sports in Mosby South is developing, at the same time transforming the identity of all sportsmen and women. Godwin Eki, TV1 Sports.
A back-to-school game was organized by the 8 council wards of Utame in Yalibupangia district of Southern Highlands province recently. Utame community leader Julius Kimbers said the games were purposely organized to empower Utame's youths during the school holidays. The finals of the back-to-school games were played on January 20 in Tiri village. Kimbers said while hosting the games, they had the opportunity to educate people about choosing a good leader in the 2022 national general elections, a leader who would bring about change to Utame's disadvantaged. Utame's Stanley Liria supported the back-to-school sport event with 10,000 kina under the Utame Village Development Initiative. Utame Village Development Initiative has been supporting the LLGs in various capacities, including legal awareness, human resource development, and sports. And that ends another edition of TV1 News. Remember to apply the following simple measures to prevent transmission of the coronavirus. Regularly wash your hands with soap and water. Cough or sneeze into your elbow and exercise social distancing. If you are feeling sick, please stay at home. You can also call the COVID-19 hotline number for more information or assistance. Pleasant viewing. Bye for now.